So The Lodge. This movie had been, I think, in the works for some time now. I think it was filmed maybe a couple years ago, and it's now just getting released. The reason I'm mentioning this is because it had a lot of Hereditary vibes. If you've seen Hereditary, and if you've seen The Lodge, I'm pretty sure you saw all the comparisons, like, instantly. Everything down to the damn dollhouse of just, like, little miniatures and what's going on in the activity. Like, they were literally almost not the same movie, but there were just so many comparisons. I could not stop thinking about Hereditary watching The Lodge. So in case The Lodge happened to be filming at the same time Hereditary was, then I can forgive it. Had it been filming afterward, then obviously it looks almost like a not like a ripoff. Still a creepy, fun in like a creepy way, induced movie, but it did have a lot of Hereditary comparisons, so it was very distracting. But again, not to say that that's a bad film. So let's talk about it. The Lodge is about these two young children who are in the middle of a really sticky situation with losing a parent. They end up moving in with their father. Their father has a new girlfriend who he plans to marry, played by Riley Keough. And this is the part that always makes me laugh in horror movies. And this is just like a personal, like nitpicky, like preference, but whose idea is it ever to want to vacation in the middle of the snow in some, middle of nowhere cabin? Like, that does not sound like a dream vacation. But anyway, that's just a nitpicky thing. Of course, this is a movie, so I understand that it's there. I'm just saying, like, personally, I would never, if any of my friends or anybody were ever to pitch me, like, hey, you want to go stay in a cabin in the middle of the snow where we could potentially lose power and heat? No, thank you. But anyway, so watching this movie made me want to take a hot shower, like, the entire time. I was freezing just watching this movie. But yeah, so they go on this little getaway vacation for a few days where the dad suddenly has to go back for work into town, and he leaves his two children with this woman who he has been dating for a while, but we don't know anything about the woman, and the kids don't really know the woman at all. They don't even like the woman, first of all, because they blame her for everything, ruining the parents' marriage, ruining just like everything that they had going for them, and also blaming her for their mother's death. So of course the kids and this woman are not going to get along, so for the dad just to think like, oh, this is a great idea, it was already silly, but it's a movie, what are you gonna do? And everything that's happening after the dad leaves, starts to become sort of like a paranormal parallel universe. We don't really know what time they're in, if they're even existing still. I'm gonna spoil, obviously I have to spoil some of these things for you, so just beware that we don't really know, like, because there's a moment where they're all together watching a movie, and then one day they wake up one morning and everything is missing from the house. Things are moved, things are not where they seem to be. It just feels like all of a sudden maybe they have died, and that was one theory that my friend and I had watching this movie, was maybe the kids are all dead. It's like The Others with Nicole Kidman. Maybe now they're all dead and they're kind of in limbo. They don't know where they are. And it was just, at first I was writing along with that idea, and I thought, wow, this is crazy to think that this could be what the main twist is. It ends up really being, and mind you, I should inform you that Riley Keough's character, was a survivor when she was 12 of like a mass cult suicide. Her family was like heavily into religion, and there was this mass suicide where she was the only one who survived. So you can only understand that with all that trauma and background, the kids are probably not going to feel comfortable just being alone with her, because they're young, they're impressionable. They don't want to be alone with somebody who was basically their age when she went through this. And she also hasn't fully dealt with that, even though the dad is trying to help her with that. So basically the kids, what ends up happening in the big reveal is the kids had been playing this prank on her this entire time. They took her pills, because she's on meds. They took her pills, which obviously makes her go insane. Or I shouldn't say insane, maybe that sounds wrong, but she's obviously not herself and she can't function correctly without her meds. That she ends up going back into this, like, that spiral of confusion and brainwashing that her parents put her through when she was younger. So she starts to sleepwalk, she starts to not know what time it is, how she ends up somewhere. And again, the whole time we think at first maybe they're all dead, until the kids end up confessing it was all just a prank. They wanted to screw with her because they don't like her. But she is now too far into her own belief that they are dead, or that they are in some other time, and that this is just another world, I guess, that they're living in. And it's really scary, and it's really unfortunate, because it just goes to show you that playing pranks on people you shouldn't do, at least to this extreme. I understand the children's intent and why they did it, because they were very hurt by the loss of their mother and this woman's entrance into their life that they didn't want any involvement in. So I say all this to say that now they're just stuck in this lodge. The dad ends up making his way back, but as soon as he gets back, she's already so far into her own belief that she just needs to kill everybody. She kills the dad, thinking it's not real, because she thinks she's already dead, but the dad does die. And then it ends with her basically holding the kids hostage, even though they try to escape. And as they sit around this table, she's singing and chanting, and the kids are frightened and can't do anything about it. They can't go anywhere, even though I do feel as if they could have just ran away, but it's a movie. They gotta end it with some sort of big shocker or a very scary situation, that they're just sitting there at the dinner table, and there's a gun, and it kind of just ends. And I guess it's left open for our own interpretation that, you know, perhaps she's just going to sacrifice them as well, because that's just where her brain is at. And it's very scary. I'm not saying this movie doesn't have some good scares. I think it is pretty freaking creepy. But I did like Hereditary a lot more. It gave me more of like a holy, you know, like mindset after it was done. I don't know. There were a lot of things, though, I felt like in this movie that the kids... I just really do feel like the kids could have escaped. Do you think that? If you've seen the movie, tell me what you think. But I think the kids could have totally escaped. They could have just, you know, bundled up easily and just kept running. I know it's freezing outside. It's cold, but they still could have ran away. This woman didn't have to capture them, but I know it's a movie, so that's exactly what needed to happen to make that impactful for the ending. So I do like this movie. I don't love this movie, I guess is the best way to sum it up. It's definitely still worth checking out if you're into horror, if you're into thrillers, if you like the directors of that film Goodnight Mommy, which was also very creepy. And if you just want to see a movie that deals with the satanic like world, then this is a movie that you may still enjoy. But if you've seen Hereditary, you may not like it as much, personally speaking. But yeah, so it's worth checking out, but not one that you have to rush to watch right away, because the acting's really good, and the unsettling just predicament that they're all in is pretty creepy and interesting to watch. So yeah, see it, but not right away. If you don't see it in theaters, it's fine to watch at home when it comes to a streaming service near you. Cool. If you have seen the movie, again, please comment below. Let me know what you thought. I'd like to know. And yeah, thank you guys for always checking out these reviews. If you like what you see, please click subscribe if you haven't already, so you never miss a review. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. Okay, catching you next time.